Hi guys, this is Jason.com and I'm here with the Huawei Mate 50 Pro in two color versions. We have the black one, which is covered in glass on the back side, and we have the orange one, which is covered with fake leather, or better said, well, an alternative to leather. There are differences between these two phones. The one on the left side has 512 gigabytes of storage, the one on the right 256. Also, this one can be dunked in water at up to 6 meters and this one 1.5 meter. Okay, so let's get things going. This is supposed to be a sort of a camera phone for Huawei on account of it having a brand new camera with an aperture which is variable between f1.4 and f4.0. Back in the day, we saw the variable aperture on the Nokia N86 and then on the Galaxy S9, but it was a 2-step aperture. Now we have a 10-step aperture, which you can actually see from the app itself. So if I go here and check out the aperture, press here, we have virtual aperture with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, and physical aperture with 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the steps of aperture you can achieve. The aperture is the way the diaphragm opens up to let the light go through and to reach the sensor. And you can increase it or decrease it like this to let the light go through. Imagine the bulb of a plant closing and opening. That's the idea. Now, if you want to talk about specs, this one is a 6.74-inch screen with a notch here at the top side from the front camera. Obviously, since we are dealing with a flagship, we're talking about an OLED panel here with a Full HD Plus resolution and also a special type of glass. Only the orange one has the Kunlun glass. This Kunlun glass will allow me to smash this phone on the table without it suffering any damage, while the black one has just regular glass protection instead of the Kunlun. Remember this name Kunlun, it's an alternative to Dragon Trail, an alternative to Gorilla Glass. Back to the phone. We're not done with the design. It's got IP68 certification, so it can take a bit of dust and water, and it weighs 209 grams. It measures 8.5 millimeters in thickness, which for a camera phone is actually not that bad. The screen I mentioned before, I think it's already covered, so let's talk about other aspects for the Huawei Mate 50 Pro. The processor is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 in the 4G version, accompanied by 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. And the battery here, I'm pretty sure it's a, let's see, 4700 mAh unit with 66 watt charging. To be honest, I was expecting more like 100, just because the fact that the Huawei Nova 10 Pro has 100 watt charging, so there's that. We also have a fast wireless charging 50 watts, not sure about this faux leather version, but it should have it, and even reverse charging at 5 watts. You have facial unlocking, courtesy of this extra sensor next to the camera. And speaking of cameras, I think I should probably mention we have a 13 megapixel selfie camera on the front side and a time-of-flight 3D sensor helping with your bokeh needs and your facial unlocking. You can do 4K video capture with the front camera for your selfie video needs. If you go to the back side to this beautiful looking round camera module, we have a lot to talk about. There's a 50 megapixel Sony sensor with special yellow sensors. There's RYYB, red, yellow, yellow, blue setup. 50 megapixel sensor with face detection autofocus. There's also laser focus and optical image stabilization. A 64 megapixel periscope camera is available as well. I'm guessing it's this one here because it appears a bit deeper. 64 megapixels with 3.5x optical zoom and optical image stabilization. Then we have the 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera. It may appear we have 4 cameras here, but it's a triple setup. One of the sensors should be the laser one. That's my view. We also have the LED flash here. We have 4K capture and a lot of options to explore on this handset. You saw some of them before. This is the more section. You can take monochrome shots, time-lapse, super macro, story creator, panorama, light painting, documents, high-res, multicam, slow-mo, augmented reality, stickers, dual view and snapshot. This is the pro area where you can tweak your white balance, focus, exposure, shutter, ISO and more. This is the aperture, which I already mentioned, and a bunch of effects here, bright, vivid and original. This is the video section, which includes its own effects, as you can see, plus this tracking feature we saw back in the day of the Huawei Mate 40 Pro. This is the photo department with the AI and filters again. We got portrait, we got a night mode, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So, camera phone ahoy. this year has been a busy one for camera phones. We had the Xiaomi 12s Ultra, we have this one, and we also had, I would say, partially the Motorola H30 Ultra with its 200 megapixel camera. Now, there are also stereo speakers here, but there's no 5G for the reasons which are well known related to the US ban of Huawei. Anyway, they bounced up pretty fast. Now they have hundreds of thousands of applications available inside their their app gallery. As you can see here, there are a ton of apps installed. So there's that. Now this phone may have Harmony OS, but that's only for China. This one has the Motion UI, and that's exactly how it's going to be sold in Europe. Not sure when the launch date happens in Europe. I'm guessing somewhere around November, but don't quote me on that. This has been the first impression. I would say it's much easier to handle than the Mate 40 Pro, which was too wide for my taste and slippery. This is actually better and easier to handle. And you can check out here the faux leather, which looks very, very appealing. Well, that's it from us, from gsno.com. Hope you enjoyed the hands-on and the explanation. Goodbye.